got your first round pick from a few years ago getting in trouble with the law and being sent out the door. Okay. I mean, teams make mistakes in first round picks and guys leave all the time, but this is kind of a unique way. All right. You got your captain of your hockey team who just won a gold medal and is from the area and has played his entire career in the area, all close to 900 NHL games in one uniform for a storied franchise, wants out.
Signed an 8-year deal.
Right. You got a pitcher who is considered one of the greatest in recent memory, who says he wants to be here, but doesn't show anybody he wants to be here. You've got a legendary general manager of one of your franchises who has been forced out and in a very strange time. And now there are reports, okay? It hasn't been confirmed by the franchise. You got to be careful with these things. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it happens. But this is where most people get their news today. A guy who says he's fed up with the franchise and he wants out. And here's what happens. Fans start siding, it's almost human nature, with one side or the other, whether you like the guy or not. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. Our Mara hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us as we stream live on YouTube, X, and on Facebook. It broke just after we signed off yesterday that Steve Yzerman is out as general manager after 7 seasons and no playoff appearance, and transitions to the role of senior advisor to Chris Ilitch. That is a very nice way of just saying, you're going to stay within the organization. We're going to pay you. You're not going to do anything. That's kind of the way it is.
Yeah, just you're going to go upstairs and be at a desk and do your thing.
That's what it is. He doesn't have to show up to work every day. He's going to get a paycheck. It's because he's an icon. He's a legend. If there is and I hate this topic because it's done all the time on sports radio, but we'll do it anyway. If there's a Mount Rushmore of Detroit Red Wings, Steve Yzerman is there. There's no question about that. Him and Gordie Howe, and then I would put Nick Lidstrom. And then some people might say Sergei Fedorov. Some might say, Ted Lindsay. I get it, right? Terry Sawchuk, whomever. Alex Delvecchio. There's a lot from which to choose. Anyway, that's what you're looking at. That's the reason he is where he is. The move itself isn't that surprising. The timing of the move is ridiculous. If it's his decision, he, to a certain extent, screwed this franchise over. If it's ownership decision, what the hell have you been doing? How can you do it at this time? If it's a mutual decision, how long have those conversations been going on? And why now? That's I think what people should be asking. To me, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
And that's where everybody's trying to find. That's where everybody's trying to find the answer. Is if there was something that pushed this decision. Yeah, all we're left to do is assume.
Yeah, this will be one of the many fly on the wall question of your day. When you move forward, people ask you, what are some things you don't know that you want to know? And I'm not talking about COVID and when they decided to have that take place. I'm talking about when in your sports world did something take place that you now want to know the answer to because you haven't received it yet. Why did Isaiah Thomas not become president of the Detroit Pistons? Why did Bill Davidson choose Tom Wilson instead? You see what I'm saying? So this is going to be one of those. You and I are not going to find the reasons behind this in all likelihood. NHL has officially expanded their schedule to 84 games for the upcoming season. They've added 2 more divisional games. The season will begin September 29th. The Wings home opener is September 2nd against the New York Rangers. Tigers are back on the MLB schedule tomorrow when they visit the Angels for a weekend series. Meanwhile, the Brewers, I told you this was going to happen. Not that this is the final results per se, but teams are going to move on. The Brewers need pitching. They would have been a very good landing spot for Tarek Skubal for Detroit because of the impact of prospects you could get back. Not that this takes them out of that, but they went and got Lance McCullers from Houston. He has struggled. And they got lefty Colton Gordon from Houston, and they gave up Jaden Fielder, the son of Prince Fielder, which ages a lot more people these days, considering you watched Prince Fielder after you had watched Cecil Fielder, and now you were wondering if there was another Fielder, and it'll be Jaden Fielder. And it's one of the more unique records or happenings in sports ever, what Cecil Fielder and Prince Fielder did as Major League Baseball players. We'll get to that here in a minute. World Cup finals are all set. It's Spain against Argentina. Argentina stormed back to upset England 2-1 by scoring in the 85th minute and 3 minutes into extra time. They're going to play Sunday in New Jersey. And round one of the Open Championship taking place right now at Royal Birkdale with a 156-man field vying for the Claret Jug. Who's the guy? This wasn't your daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle yesterday, was it, Andy?
No.
I don't think it was.
Nope, it was Mbappe.
Yeah, which was just a little confusing for me. I'm wondering why you didn't go golf, considering how much you love golf.
Golf will be today.
So, golf will be today.
Yeah, it will be today.
Well, there's a Thomas Dietrich is already done with his round. He shot a 367. Robert McIntyre, who does when I was younger, everybody used to look at Craig Stadler and say those guys aren't athletes because of Craig Stadler's body. Colin Montgomery, people look at his body and say that's not athletic. Look at Robert McIntyre these days, and you think to yourself, pillow soft. How can that possibly be an athlete? He's a really good golfer. He's tied at 3 under par. Alex Smalley is tied at 3 under par. And that's what you're looking at, but Smalley is through 7. I'm excited to see how things go. Scotty Scheffler's 2 under early on. So what Andy's going to do for the daily wager is take one of these guys who already are in the books. By the time we get to the daily wager, you're going to have a pretty good idea of how guys are playing, or at least most of these groups are playing the early round at Royal Birkdale.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So in Southport, England right now, that's what's taking place. It's a par 70. It's supposed to be really hot. There's no shade for anybody, and because there's no trees. And it's supposed to be absolutely, borderline miserable out there. Let's see how these guys tear up the course. They're off to a pretty good start. Meanwhile, here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Who should be the Red Wings' next GM? Sean Horkoff, Chris Draper, Nick Lidstrom, or outside the organization? Vote as often as you want. We'll give you the results tomorrow when we broadcast live from Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. We'll get into the Eisman stuff when we come back. Glad you're with us on a Tell Me More Thursday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Their worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Dylan has 5 years remaining on his contract. My job as the manager of the Detroit Red Wings is always to do what is in the best interest of the Detroit Red Wings, and I will act accordingly to that. So I cannot make any guarantees, or did not make any guarantees that request could or would be met. And as Wojo had asked, there is certainly a lot of uncertainty around that.
How prophetic that was, right? There's a lot of uncertainty with Steve Yzerman. Now the certainty is that he is no longer the general manager. Where do you go from here? It's a good rock and roll song, quite honestly. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Part of the reason, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons on why Steve Yzerman is gone, right? Again, I think that the strangest thing is, I was talking to a professional hockey player yesterday, and I said, what do you think of the whole deal? He's like, just the timing is so odd. Why would you not have done this before the draft? It's insane, right? Now you got to bring in a new general manager to deal with players he didn't draft, which, you know, you're hoping those players were on everybody's board anyway. But still, I mean, depending on how you want to go, you've got a coach now who, I don't think they're necessarily in limbo, but coaches oftentimes feel like, look, am I that guy or not? It happens in college all the time, right? I mean, Michigan State's going to get a new athletic director. They have the interim athletic director, right? And they do so. That director did not hire Pat Fitzgerald. How do you think he feels, right? So, I mean, there are certain ways, because you always feel like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to want, quote unquote, his own guy. Doesn't mean it always happens. I mean, when Michigan changed hands and Ward Manuel came in, and who knows how much longer he's going to be there, he didn't fire John Beeline. He just kept him, gave him to an extension. Sometimes you're bringing in a new guy is the wrong thing to do. Keeping the guy you have would be the correct thing to do. And that's a decision you have to make too. People act like it's just, oh, it's no big deal. He inherited that guy. He had to decide to keep the guy too. So I always kind of give them credit. Bob Quinn firing Jim Caldwell was a bad move. Bob Quinn keeping Jim Caldwell originally was the right move. You know, and then of course he goes out and what does he do? He gets Matt Patricia, and then his career is basically over. Stupid decision, right?
Okay. I think for me, the one thing that I'm wondering with all this, the timing is obviously what you bring up. Like, why would it be right now? How much do you think that the Dylan Larkin stuff did have to do with this? Like, do you think that they told him to make a trade, had to make a trade at some point here, and he wasn't making a move, and he didn't want to trade for prospects, and he was only going to get the market value? Like, what do you think with all that? I guess that's what
I'm sure that has. I'm sure that has something to do with it. The length and how long it has taken for him to pull the trigger probably has something to do with it. The only thing I would say, if you're going to fire a general manager because your captain wants out, publicly has said that, and you're not keeping your captain. Okay, I tweeted this out yesterday, and I asked people in general, with Yzerman stepping aside, I wonder if that changes Dylan Larkin's mind. The problem is it doesn't change Red Wings fans about Larkin, and that is so true.
It is true. I don't think people's minds are still probably made up on that fact, but you have to wonder if this was any part of, like, if I don't want to say, I don't think Chris Ilitch walked in the room with Dylan Larkin and was like, okay, man, what's it going to take? I don't think that's necessarily what happened, but I wonder if this was any part of, like, if he just said, I'm not going to play for Steve, you know what I mean? And maybe they realize that there's some value there in a guy who is definitely worth more than he's probably getting paid, and he has 5 years left on his deal. So I just wonder if that was any part of it.
Yeah, I could understand why people would think that. He doesn't play for Steve. He plays for Todd McClellan. So that's number one. You play for fans. You play for the franchise. You play for this, that, and the other thing. Is it really Steve Yzerman you're playing for? I think what has decided this, and there's some people who believe that it's Steve Yzerman's decision. If it's Chris Ilitch's decision, there's a few things you have to ask yourself. If it's Steve Yzerman's decision, why now? If it's his decision, you have to ask yourself about ownership. How did they not know he was contemplating this?
Yes.
If it's Chris Ilitch's decision, you're thinking to yourself, you're way too late to the party.
Yeah, it's like 70% through the offseason. It feels like almost. I mean, you're past the draft. Like it's you let them do everything at this point, and whoever you bring in new. I mean, unless it's somebody that, like on our poll question today, if it's like Chris Draper or someone who's been around, then it's a little different. But if you bring in somebody from the outside at this point, I mean, that's a tough ask for them. Right?
Yeah, I think here's kind of the whole buildup to all of it. The belief is that he has been difficult to deal with outside the organization as well.
Very stubborn is the word.
Okay.
A lot.
Yes. So is it stubbornness? Who's leaking that? Or is it a guy who's just trying to get the best deal? If he's trying to get the best deal, well, he hasn't been getting the best deal. It's not like he's fleeced anybody, and that doesn't always define best deal, but it's not like he's gone out there and he's done some things that other general managers envy.
No, I think most people with the
Larkin
one here don't want him to make a trade just to make a trade or just to get prospects. Like I think a lot of people have wanted.
Well, we don't know it'd be just prospects. I don't think that's necessarily fair to assume.
No, but
when you have reports that Yzerman's going to have to accept prospects, that's the reason he's holding on to
exactly.
I think most people should be thankful that he's not just giving him away. Those same people who are bitching and moaning that he's got to deal Dylan Larkin and get whatever he can for him are the same people who were pissed when Justin Verlander was traded to Houston. The same people who were pissed when JD Martinez was traded to Arizona. And in both situations, general managers gave in when they didn't necessarily have to. More with JD Martinez than Justin Verlander, who had another year left on his contract. You didn't have to do that.
No, I agree with that.
Steve Yzerman's got this guy for 5 more years, or whatever general manager now. You got him for 5 more years. Why do you feel the need to just get rid of him?
You wouldn't.
To me, it makes no sense.
You wouldn't want to do that at all. That'd be the wrong move in that situation. But I think it's important to remind ourselves too that I think a lot of this isn't just the Dylan Larkin trade. This is more what didn't happen in free agency at other points too.
Correct.
That's where
and what did happen with Andrew Cobb.
In my opinion, he is doing the right thing with Dylan Larkin. He just doesn't have a lot of options. I mean, he gave him 4 teams. That's the problem. And if he's gonna
how many people would look at it and actually side with the player in that regard? You would side with the general manager. Okay, you want out, fine, I'll get you out, but we're not going to do it all on your terms. Here's the other thing that people have to remember. You're right. A lot of the free agent signings, okay, giving $5 million a year to JT Comfort probably was not the greatest financial move. And it sure as hell hasn't paid off for him. All you have to do is look at his numbers. And I know sometimes numbers can be very misleading. So let's not marry ourselves to every single goal and assist and so on and so forth. However, when you've got a guy who went from, when he first got to Detroit, 48 points, okay, $5 million a year now, 19 goals and 48 points, it was a -5. The following year goes to 11 goals and 32 points and a -7. So that's a downward trend. And then last year, 11 goals, 28 points and a -13. That's even worse. That doesn't work. Not for $5 million a year.
There's not one person that would disagree with that. And I'd love to hear the argument.
so that's the big one. But here's the other one. What his picks in the first 2 rounds between 2019 and 2024, a little bit of a taste of the NHL for Nate Danielson, Axel Sandin Pellikka, Marco Kasper, and Albert Johansson. Everybody else, they're either in Europe or they're in the AHL. That's the problem. We won't take Max Plant into consideration. His guys that he has drafted from 2019 Antti Tuomisto all the way up through Max Plant have not panned out. I'm not taking all the draft picks. I'm talking about the first 2 rounds. We'll talk more on the other side of this. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. This is X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, and we're brought to you by our friends at Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meyer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies for $1 or less, including Meyer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2-pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites like select varieties of Meyer toaster pastries, pancake mix, syrup, and instant oatmeal, all just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meyer. Exclusions apply. See the Meyer app for details.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
35 after the hour. Welcome back. This is the story that has captivated not just the NHL, but really a lot of sports. I mean, don't look to the Four-Letter Network. They're too busy promoting their own ESPYs awards, which turns into, just who knows what the hell it's become. Only saw clips of it. But what you really should know in sports is when you have an icon like Steve Yzerman stepping down after failing. He failed. You don't get a team into the playoffs, you failed. Were you better than what you inherited? After a few seasons, yes, you were. That doesn't mean that you're successful. Do you believe he should have been replaced? Do you believe he should have stepped down? That's the official verbiage, okay? Let's face it. Not many guys do that on July 15th. Steve Yzerman's plan wasn't, okay, in 7 years, if it's not done in the middle of July, after the draft, in the middle of free agency, I'm going to step away. What do you
think that was it?
Seriously, I mean, that's not really who he is. So there are certain guys, like I hope they don't promote Chris Draper.
I am so with you on that.
It would be absolutely asinine.
That'd be the craziest thing for them to do.
Chris Draper, because he's been in charge of scouting, and look at the talent or the lack thereof that he's acquired. Seriously,
I watched him play pickleball. I watched him play pickleball here in Grand Rapids. He's good at that. I think maybe keep having fun with fine.
That. I'm sure he's a really good golfer too.
Probably.
The fact that people have said he could be a replacement really goes against the grain of any logic whatsoever. The reason this team isn't very good is because they haven't been able to acquire talent. He's been in charge of acquiring talent, or at least advising the general manager. Sean Horkoff, a little different story. He handles Grand Rapids. He's the assistant general manager. You might be in a pinch there where you almost have to bring him on board because of the timing of all this, which means you're probably looking at assistant general managers. I know a lot of people would love Jim Nill. Why would Jim Nill leave Dallas?
Yeah, I've heard that one a couple of times. I don't get it.
Yeah, of course. You know why you've heard it? It's because people want it.
Yeah, I think people say just pick up the phone and call. I understand to make a call. I guess why not? But I mean, do you really think that's going to happen?
Has anybody said, let's go get Scott White, his assistant general manager? No. They just go for the throat and say, let's go get Jim Nill. He's the general manager of Dallas.
Should be easy.
Who's built Dallas into an incredible destination site, number one. Number two, an incredible force in the Western Conference, and he's been back-to-back general manager of the year. He's paved his own path in Dallas.
Right.
But everybody thinks of course he's going to want to get back to Detroit. Why wouldn't he want to be here? I don't know. For the same reason that some of the free agents don't want to be here? Have you thought about that? I've always found that rather funny when it comes to, and I don't think we're the only ones who do it, by the way, when it comes to what we should be doing or how we are the destination site. And then people will turn around and say, well, actually not the destination site. I wouldn't come here. They'll tell you that. Jim Nill is really good at what he does in Dallas. Really good. Let me ask you this. He was hired as general manager of the Stars in 2013. So he's been there, you can do the math, for 13 years. How long was he in Detroit? As the director of amateur scouting, how long was he in Detroit? He spent 3 years in Ottawa, and then he was in Detroit's front office.
So
again, director of their scouting and kind of overlooking the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Canadian Junior League and so on and so forth. Really did help build the teams that won the Stanley Cups. Okay. In 97, 98, 2002, 2008. So he's been there a long time. When he was done playing, 91 or so, from 94 until 2013, right?
Wow.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, he was he was part of the Red Wings. Because, like I said, 2013, hired in Dallas. So if you look at that situation, he was here for almost 19 years.
That's a long time.
Right. For 13 years, though, he has dedicated his life to the Dallas Stars. He has created his own, I think he's a 3-time General Manager of the Year award winner. He's created his own path in Dallas. Why does he want to come back here? Okay. There are certain assistant general managers. Jamie Pusher's an assistant GM in Tampa. He was a Red Wing. Anybody bring up his name? We don't know a lot of general managers. That's part of the issue. All right. Do you remember Jeff Tambellini? Jeff Tambellini played at the University of Michigan. I called a lot of his games. He's the assistant general manager in Tampa. We always want to link guys to coming back, quote unquote, home. Well, there's a big reason why Steve Yzerman is probably out, because of one of the guys who is home wants out of home. So it's very interesting in how we look at it.
They just need, I feel like they just need a fresh mind regardless, like something new. I mean, we've been talking about this maybe running its course with Steve Yzerman since before all this just happened recently too. It's not like people are just getting this idea out of nowhere. I feel like people have wanted a new mind in here for a good amount of time, and probably, I mean, it's just I don't know if all the reports about, and not even reports, just what people say about him, being stubborn and stuff. Who knows if that's actually how it was, but it does feel that way based off of a lot of the things that people have said that have been around the room a lot more than I have. That's for sure. But I wonder where they're going to go in that direction, because you feel like the league is becoming more player run. Like they're kind of just making their own decisions, and at least from the Stars standpoint. And I just don't think that's the way that Steve Yzerman wanted to deal with it, because that's not the way that he dealt with it when he was a player, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve Yzerman's smart enough to know you have to adjust.
Right.
I try to give him as much credit as I possibly can. Who do you think leaks stories that he's tough to deal with? The guys who aren't getting from him what they want.
Yes.
I'm not trying to defend Steve Yzerman here. I'm sure he is. It's part of the reason he was a good captain too, right? I mean, if you're a leader who helped build a championship in Tampa and laid the foundation for that with as many players and coaches that he influenced, do you think he suddenly becomes stupid overnight?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think Steve Yzerman's stupid by any means. I don't want to.
Yeah, I shouldn't have used the word stupid.
Yeah,
but the stubborn aspect of things that people want to say, well, he's just stubborn. That's why nobody wants to deal with him. Maybe a lot of teams were trying to take advantage of him and he wouldn't do it. So you'd rather have a general manager who's willing to say, you know what, go ahead, take my best player and I'll take some prospects for you. Again, I use the Tigers example. Or trading Darius Slay. That's what Bob Quinn did. He traded Darius Slay, his best cover corner, because Matt Patricia felt like he was a quote-unquote loser, that he didn't do things the way he wanted him to do. Even though the guy has a reputation as one of the best cover corners in the National Football League, you got rid of him. Oh, I see. So the general manager's right in that regard? No. Turns out he wasn't correct in that regard. Those people didn't adjust. Did Steve Yzerman adjust? Well, I don't know the answer to that. Nobody can really say confidently that he did or did not adjust. Give me the reason, give me the example in which he was unwilling to move off his spot and did not adjust. Quinn Hughes, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the one that everybody would bring up.
That would be the one everybody.
Well, that's the other part. Not even just the stubbornness.
It's not like he didn't go out and get free agents, Andy.
He did. He did go out and get free agents.
Were they right ones? No, I don't disagree with that.
A lot of 33-year-old forwards.
Yeah, it's not like he was failing to develop young talent. A lot of the young talent in Grand Rapids is the reason that they've won or had such a good season. Okay, now I think it's a little overblown because a lot of the players associated with that are not necessarily young. Dominic Shine, for example. But the Sebastian Cossa one doesn't help him. When you draft a guy like Sebastian Cossa, after making some deals, and suddenly you get that draft pick and you don't bring him up, is it all on him? Not all, but the majority of it is. So I think that's probably part of the
that is a
issue.
part of it. I think another part of it is there was never really the big like splash signing to add on too. And I have to wonder if there's like some kind of uncomfortability with like signing players to that much money. Obviously, the Leo Carlson thing was ridiculous. Not with Steve, but just like how much money he just made. I don't think
$18 million Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
And you know what? that put Pat Verbeek in a really tough spot.
Exactly.
Pat Verbeek, who was the assistant general manager here, Pat Verbeek now has to pay him, did match it. It was the Philadelphia Flyers offer.
Mm-hmm.
He matched it. Now that handcuffs him on some of the other free agents that he wants.
And I think that's the kind of move that
agents.
Steve maybe was starting to realize, like he doesn't want to make that, he's never going to want to pay a player that much money at any point too. I wonder if that was any part of it with how much players
I remember when Dylan Larkin signed his deal, people thought it was too much in this town. People thought it was too
I
much.
believe that.
And now it's viewed as a steal.
That's what everybody says when they talk about it.
So nobody, and again, I'm not trying to defend Steve Yzerman. I don't think he's done a very good job here.
No, but you got to look at both sides.
And by the way, another name nobody brings up is Brendan Shanahan. Brendan Shanahan left Toronto probably in a better place than when he inherited it. And for some reason, he's a former Red Wing. How come nobody wants to bring him quote unquote home? But anyway, we digress. I think with the Steve Yzerman situation, not many people will bring up the fact that he signed 3 guys. They'll bring up the negative contracts. I've done that already. But he signed 3 guys for less than they're worth. Larkin, Seider, Raymond. Now, the Raymond situation can soon become a restricted free agent. I understand that. I'm talking about what he did to extend them and keep them here is pretty impressive, considering how much guys are making these days.
Yeah, and people were upset when it took so long to sign Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond, but he did get really good deals on those. So
he did.
I don't think anybody's arguing with that now.
They shouldn't be.
Again, I'm not defending. This is the guy that I have been sick of for probably the last couple of years, to be honest with you. But I didn't want the timing.
It makes it sound like but we're doing a good job of seeing both sides. You have to see both sides. Okay?
You have to do that.
It doesn't mean that he had more successes than failures. He didn't.
At the end of the day, results are results. And we're talking about year 7. There's been no playoffs, and it feels like they kind of plateaued.
We're talking about draft picks, free agent signings, the open dispute he's had. Really, he hasn't had the open dispute. Still in Larkin, who's done it with Steve Yzerman, and the fact that he couldn't find a goalie. John Gibson finally. But overall, look at the goalies who he has signed. Anybody who thinks that the Yzer plan was working is delusional. You're thinking of him as a captain of the Red Wings. You're thinking of him as your favorite player. You're thinking of him with a poster on the wall. And the bottom below it says commitment, because I've got it here in the man cave. All right. That's not how or a reason to keep a guy. It's based on results. There's no other general manager who's been around in the National Hockey League and missed the playoffs for 7 straight years and still kept his job. It should not have been his job to keep any longer. The big question is, where do they go now? Do you trust the person doing the hiring? Chris Ilitch is going to do that hiring, right? And are you going outside the organization or staying within the organization? I don't know why you would stay within the organization when that organization has failed over the last 7 years. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. Whether you like the guy or not, whether you think Chris Draper won 4 cups, we got to look at him. Nick Lidstrom won 4 cups. Let's look at him. Nick Lidstrom hasn't been along for the 7-year ride. But to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to promote from within.
That's why you got to be careful when you bring people like that back, because if they have a good relationship, the general manager like that, feels like that's kind of why this got extended as long as it's been extended.
I hated how it ended for Joe Dumars.
That's a great example. That's a great example.
We think, and look, most of these guys, they have forgotten more about their respective sport than you and I will ever know. You and I do not know more than Steve Yzerman just because he's getting fired. Because you and I do this more, and I don't say you and I specifically, but I'm talking about fans in general.
Yeah, but we don't.
You're doing it as an armchair quarterback.
Yeah,
you're doing it as a fantasy football owner. So I'm not saying we know more than he does. It doesn't. We don't have to know a lot of hockey in order for us to recognize that somebody else has made too many bad moves to keep his job. But everybody uses this. I heard an NHL insider yesterday on NHL radio say, well, look at what Chris Ilitch has done with his other team, the Detroit Tigers, bringing in a guy outside the family, if you will, hiring a young guy and giving him the reins, and look what he's done with that franchise. And I said, okay,
this guy,
you're obviously not in Detroit because, yeah, exactly. You're obviously not in Detroit. People are frustrated.
They're 44 and 51. I'm pretty sure right now.
I mean, people are really upset that they haven't done what they should have done at the trade deadline each of the last 2 years, and haven't done what they should have done with Derek Skubal so far this year. So, I mean, there's your Yzer plan. I'm going to ask you how many of these guys you recognize, and these are the first two rounds between 2019 and 2024, for example. Because maybe 25 is way too early to judge. Antti Tuomisto.
I mean, of course, I'm going to say yes to all these because I'm in Grand Rapids. So
right,
maybe I'm not
that's
the
all
most
he's
fair
got
person
to
ask. Yeah, okay.
He was drafted 35th overall in 2019.
Yeah.
And he's reached Grand Rapids. That's it.
Yep.
Robert Mastra. How do you say his last name? Mastra Simone.
Yeah, that's close. I wouldn't pronounce the name better.
Okay. Albert Johansson.
Yep.
Okay. He's made it to the NHL.
Yep.
William Wallander.
He's been here, and a lot of people have high hopes for him, but he has not moved up yet.
He's the 32nd overall pick in 2020. It's 6 years, Andy.
I get it. Trust me.
Okay.
I understand.
Theodore Niederbach.
That one I do not know.
Okay. There's a second round pick in the same draft. You don't know him because he plays in Europe.
Yeah.
Cross Hanas.
Yeah, you got traded to the Texas Stars.
There you go. Good for him. Never made it past the AHL. Sebastian Cossa now in Utah. Is it Shea Buim?
Yeah, Buim. Yep. He's down here in Grand
overall.
Rapids. Yep.
Yeah. It's been 5 years.
He was injured a lot of last season, but he is still here. Yes.
Marco Kasper.
Obviously
Dylan James. Dylan James is still playing college.
Mm-hmm.
Dmitry Buchaknov. He's in Europe. Nate Danielson, cup of coffee in the NHL. Axel Sandin Pelika. Trey Augustine. Obviously, NCAA, played for Michigan State, now in Grand Rapids. How long is that going to take? Brady Cleveland, he's still in college. Bransig Nygaard, he's
been back and forth, but I think he has a shot to make the Red Wings this year.
Yeah, but how much of an impact will he be?
That's
Nobody looks at him and says, I've got to have him up here as quickly as possible, like Kevin McGonigal with the Tigers.
Right. That's
nobody's doing that. And he was the 15th overall pick. So those are, I'm just telling you, these are some of the examples that people use when it comes to part of the reason Steve Yzerman has decided to call it a career. End of the cap season, they've got plenty of cap. Okay, 11 million, I believe, is what they have at the end of the season to work with. So a general manager is going to come into, I think, a decent situation, depending on who that is. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Big second half predictions for the Tigers around the corner, but fans' responses to my tweet about Yzerman and Larkin. We'll get to that when we come back on a Tully Moore Thursday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Huge here for the Carmody brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings across Michigan. You can watch the end of the World Cup at all Buffalo Wild Wings in Michigan. Yes, the U.S. has been bounced, but the best teams in the world remain. And you can watch all the games on all the TVs at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Every single World Cup game that's left, you can watch it at your local Buffalo Wild Wings.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle.
Eric Church. All you gotta do is put a
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride, August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Make ways for a great cause at Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. You can grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise critical funds for breast cancer research and awareness programs. Register for Stand Up for the Cure at suftc.org.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
So yesterday, I tweet this out. Yeah, I hate it when I do that. I hate when everybody does that. When I sit there and say so, can't stand it when people start a sentence that way. And I just did it. My apologies. Mitch Lanswell poll question. Where do you do next now that Steve Yzerman is gone? Is it Sean Horkoff? Is it Chris Draper? Is it Nick Lidstrom? Is it somebody outside the organization? Vote as often as you want. We've retweeted it here on X's and Bros. I did tweet this out about what this does now from a Larkin standpoint, but fans will not be able to forget that. So anybody who says, well, if Larkin comes back, answer me this. How does he come back? In what scenario do you think he comes back and fans forgive? It's not that he can't come back. He's already under contract.
Yeah, he hasn't left yet.
Earlier this week, I will not surprise me one bit if he starts the season as a Detroit Red Wing. NHL has expanded to 84 games. NHL has given a start date September 29th. Red Wings have their home opener October 2nd against the Rangers. Okay, we've already given you that indication. Give me this scenario in which fans and everybody feels, hey, this guy he's still one of us.
Well, this whole thing has already felt fantasy land enough to me with all the drama that's been going on this summer. So I don't know. I'm not saying that like it's this is what happened because I don't know anything. I'm just saying I do think there's a possibility that at least somebody in the organization knew that maybe the only way he was going to come back and play here is if Steve Yzerman wasn't the general manager.
But that's not what I asked. What I asked was, give me the scenario in which fans forgive.
Yeah, I don't know if there's so many people that still support Steve and like Steve a lot. So I feel like I feel like fans have taken this to where it's like personally between the two, right? You have to take a side. So,
what I'm wondering is, if a guy says, "I want out," and maybe more importantly, he's your captain. He's supposed to be the leader of your clubhouse. How often do people in the media and fans read into, oh my God, there's no leadership. Oh my God, it's a clubhouse divided, or it's a locker room divided. There's no chemistry. Those are all very common uses of.
Well, people use that, sure.
They use it all the time, even though we're not in there. They use it all the time as a reason for a lack of success.
Sure.
For a team or an individual.
Right.
Now you're trying to tell me that because a general manager has moved on and you wanted him gone because of his inability to make this team better, and rightfully so, you're going to welcome back. You're going to stand on your feet with one beer in hand and popcorn in the other and say, that a boy Dylan, I'm going to wear a 71 jersey. I mean, they're taking them down inside Little Caesars Arena. And you're going to tell me people are going to forgive when a guy says, I want out?
I don't know if people are going to forgive him or not. The fans may not react well still. The players are, I guess, what I'm more interested in. I don't know if the fans react well, but I wonder how his team reacts to him. Because for me, I don't know if these players like playing for Steve either, like other players in this organization.
But we don't know that. So that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
What's relevant most, it's not taking sides. What's most relevant is whether or not players want and will play for a guy and sacrifice for a guy. Remember that. You got to play for the guy next to you. Are you willing to do that with a guy who has said, I want out? And are fans willing to go and say, yes, we forgive you. We are behind you.
Yeah, it's hard.
I find that really hard to believe.
I find it hard to believe.
They would be able to
it would be tough to imagine that people would support that part of it. I don't know if there's any conversations ever between Steve and Dylan about him not being the captain in the future.
He can't be. He can't be the captain.
No, like he can't be now. I'm saying, do you think there's any possibility that before he requested a trade that Steve talked to him about not being the captain anymore?
No. Based on what?
Their relationship.
It's not Steve Yzerman's sole responsibility as a general manager to decide on whether his captain is deserving or not.
I'm just trying to come at it from all angles because I don't understand why the timing of all this happened now. And I don't understand
the time. I don't understand the timing either. I think it's, I think it's taken a while, and I think management is tired of the drama that's associated with it. They probably wanted something done sooner than later, which is kind of funny because you're the owner. You're supposed to be involved in that stuff just as much, at least in the loop and talking to the guy who's making those changes. I see that on social media that Steve Yzerman probably talked to him about removing the. That didn't. I doubt that happened. I doubt Steve Yzerman said.
I'm not even saying I think it happened. I'm just saying I wonder if there's any possibility.
And this is what you love, but you also hate about the internet is the constant. Well, this could have happened, and then you look at somebody who's reporting it, and that person's got 842 followers, and they're just somebody in mom's basement.
No, but to answer with the fans, the only way that I think that Dylan Larkin could get accepted by the fans again, or even his teammates in that assets, is that they find out that something went down. Like Larkin comes out and says, "This happened between me and Steve. Like this is a conversation we have. I didn't want to continue to play for him in this organization because of this, and maybe people back him because of what he says." That's the only way I think that people could ever have his back again at this point.
Yeah, I personally think it's beyond repair.
It probably is.
He's got to move on because we are so territorial and I don't want to say sensitive, but it's a big deal to us in Detroit and the state of Michigan that people want to be here.
No, and those four teams all know that Steve wanted
another player who is asked to be traded and has then been embraced by their hometown team.
Yeah,
or the team that originally they were playing for. Somebody who came out publicly and has said, "I want out." Max Crosby? Is that possible?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was traded and then came back.
Right.
Is it the same? It's a pretty good example, I think.
It's a really good example. The
only difference is he's not a hometown. It's not like he was born in Vegas. It's not like Vegas has this deep-rooted history of the Las Vegas Raiders. Not like the Red Wings here in Detroit. So those are some things that I think, it's worth kind of considering.
Yeah, I think either way, you're still trying to trade him. I think you'd still try to avoid the situation either way, no matter who takes over as general manager, right? I think the problem with Steve trying to make the trade is he had four options and he was trying to make it like a hockey for hockey move, essentially it seemed like, or the point where he didn't at least not get NHL players back. All those GMs know that. So if the list isn't bigger, he's going to have a hard time making that trade. And I feel like he didn't want to just give it up for all prospects. That's it. Which I understand.
What's interesting is when this whole thing came about, it's amazing how our emotions swing back and forth. When it came about, everyone was pissed off at Dylan Larkin because he asked for the trade. And then as it grew, it was Steve Yzerman. What are you waiting for? And then as it took the next step, it was more back to Larkin because he only offered 3 teams, and look at how good those teams are. And he wants to do what LeBron James did, which is another example of a guy who can go back to Cleveland. Whined it out, went back. Here's the difference. He won a championship. He's also considered one of the greatest players of all time.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that it's fair, but life ain't fair. And that's the way things oftentimes go. When you accomplish certain things like he has, people are more willing to forgive. And if you've won something for that city, which he did in Cleveland, his second time around, people feel like, I appreciate that.
And that's where Larkin will struggle to win people back more because he hasn't won things here.
Yeah. Yep. We'll get to some texts. Art Regner, a friend of ours, writes for DetroitRedWings.com, will join us 7:35 here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Meyer.
We go together. The Jonas Brothers. I'm a sucker for you. The greetings from your hometown encore. The Soaring Eagle Outdoor Concert Series. Special guests, boys like girls. Tickets for
for the Jonas Brothers start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Hang out with the Jonas Brothers and Boys Like Girls August 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Get ready for the hottest Saturdays of the summer at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Now through August, we're dropping over $1 million in free play. Every hour from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 10 winners score $600 in free play. $1 Million Summer is back, so don't miss your shot at big summer wins. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Back with you here on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, 18 after the hour. An hour from now, Handy Andy. All right. How does Andy McDonald fix certain things? Arthur Regner, our friend, Art Regner, will join us at the bottom of the hour. Be careful out there. The Canadian wildfires are kind of filtering into.
It is no joke, man, here in Grand Rapids for the people listening.
It's no joke here, and it's no joke here in Detroit.
I know you see it. That's for sure.
It's quite the challenge for sure. By the way, there are 27 players right now who are in red numbers. Okay, at the Open Championship, and there is Stuart Grahan just teed off. He is from Scotland, but he played a year of golf at Eastern Michigan. So he is Ireland's amateur champion. So he was able to get, by winning the amateur there in Ireland, he was able to get an exemption for the British Open, next year's U.S. Open, and next year's Masters. Pretty awesome deal. He's a financial advisor. He's a golfer, but he's a financial advisor. I just wanted to share that with you. All right, real quick. Let me get to some of these things because I tweeted this out yesterday about Larkin and the whole Red Wings situation. And here's what a lot of people have tweeted back. I want to give them some due respect by taking some time to respond. Shep don't know that the fans' attitude matters as much as his teammates, to be honest. I don't think he was ready to quit on them as bad as, let me say, I think the fact he was ready to quit on them is a bad look for the captain. If anything, I think this means the next guy is open to trading for picks, signaling another rebuild, but why not do it before free agency in the draft? That's from Dove Jumars, which is interesting because I was saying this to Andy during the break. I think a lot of, depending on how long you've been with a franchise and what you've been able to accomplish with a franchise. Jim Nill in Dallas winning a cup. Steve Yzerman in Tampa didn't win a cup, but helped build them to a cup. People in Tampa probably think more of him as a general manager than people in Detroit do. Pat Riley's been around for a long, long time. Okay. So fond memories of those people when you win championships. Joe Dumars built a championship team here in Detroit and a team that reached 6 straight Eastern Conference finals. What do you remember him for? Darko Milicic, trading Chauncey Billups for Allen Iverson. Unfortunately. What will Steve Yzerman be remembered for? Probably this Dylan Larkin saga. If somebody said to you, trying to defend the indefensible, if somebody said to you, Steve Yzerman did a good job as general manager, the immediate response would be his captain didn't even want to stay here for him. And it'd be hard to argue with that. Shep, personally, I disagree. I can't speak for others. I think he wanted out for a lot of the right reasons. He didn't believe in the path that Yzerman was building for this team. If he's willing to stay, especially for $8 million a year over the next 5 years in today's crazy market, I would take it. That's from Kevin. Okay. I don't think he believed in Yzerman's path either. If you don't believe in somebody's path, does that mean you automatically quit? That's all. That's all I'm wondering. Are we do we give up because you don't believe in somebody's path? Or do you, and we don't know the answer to this, or do you go to management and say, hey, he's losing guys in the room. He's not doing enough to help us win. I don't like the direction of we're going. I'm going to strongly have to consider leaving, demanding a trade if things don't change. My hope is, especially in hockey, you're man enough to just to talk this over. Maybe he did, and things didn't go the way he expected.
That's what I wonder. At least
that's assuming an awful lot. Yeah, that's why I said earlier in the program that the very first segment. What did I say? I said this is one of those moments you'd like to be the fly on the wall.
Yeah, everybody wishes they knew exactly what was going on. That's for sure.
Shep, change this offseason was inevitable with pro player personnel. I'd rather lose Larkin over Raymond Sider Edmondson. He made his bed now. There's no coming back. A lot of people feel like that. Larkin is their best forward. I know you may not want to believe that. Coming off a career high in goals, he's the best forward. I'm not saying he's the best scorer. Alex DeBrincat's the best scorer. I don't want to lose Alex DeBrincat. It's a hell of a. He pumps in 40 goals. You don't find many guys with 40 goals anymore. So I would like to keep him. I think Lucas Raymond's a good player. I don't think he's a great player by any stretch. I think he's a good player. Although you could argue, hell, if he's a Swede, if he's an Olympian, you're going to be pretty damn good, right? Mo Sider's an Olympian. You got to be pretty damn good. But Dylan Larkin, 200 feet, offensively and defensively combined, he's their best. He's their best forward. I get why a lot of people feel that way.
I think a lot of people were wondering too about Alex DeBrincat in general. Were they going to pay him what he needed to come back? That's another question too.
He could be a free agent after the end of the year.
Yeah.
What's he going to command? If Leo Carlson,
think about market value right now.
$18 million, okay, because some franchise thought that was a good idea. Maybe they're just trying to stick it to Anaheim and did. If some franchise is doing that, in this case the Philadelphia Flyers, you don't think somebody's going to do something perhaps very similar to that with Alex DeBrincat, who's much more proven than Leo Carlson. Shep, if the Wings are cleaning house, Larkin has to go too. Shep, I want him to stay. That's from Kyle. From Nate, Larkin better be gone. From Stan, he was right. This move cements that. Bet he stays, and the next guy makes some moves. From Alan, Larkin's done here, and that's okay. From MC, I'll take an apology. Let's see. From Third Rate Weird Al, a statement like Werenski's would win them all back easily. Well, that's a great point, because there was speculation, let me stress that, belief that Werenski wanted out. And he and the general manager came out and the representative said, we're on the same page. If Steve Yzerman, if Pat Brisson, who's his agent, came out and said, look, not that we wanted any particular person fired. We just wanted what we feel is the right direction for the team. Dylan feels like they're headed in the right direction and wants to be an important part of that. I mean, my immediate thought was, who are you to decide what's the right direction? Every player, remember, he cried when they traded Tyler Bertuzzi, his best buddy. Remember that? I don't know if people do.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So how important was that? How much was he part of their identity? He was a top six forward who played rugged and was hard to play against. Very similar to what you're looking for right now.
Same, what they've struggled to find since.
Right. But players, just because a player wants a certain player here, doesn't always mean that player is right, because they don't know the ins and the outs. They don't know a lot of the contractual situation, or they don't have a look at the books and how much you're in trouble with your salary cap, whatever the case may be. Shep, he won't ever be the captain of the Red Wings again. This is from Terry. Plus, he will hear the boo birds for a long time. Yes, he will. From the original KG, why would it change anything? Team is still terrible. Larkin wants to win. And from Das Haas, Shep, I'd be more than fine with him coming back. I have it on pretty good authority. Most of the guys on the team don't care much for Yzerman either. Let me see. I disagree. From Max. While I didn't like how it came out, what's wrong with a player wanting more? I'd be happy to have Larkin come back, and ideally a couple big names of supporting cast. Hughes was a big miss. What about Werenski? Werenski's come out and said he wants to stay. It's interesting, isn't it? We want to take somebody else away from another team, but when our guy says he wants out, it's taboo. You know what I mean? It's hot. We're going to talk with Art Regner about this very topic. He's an insider. We'll see what he has to say, and he's known Steve Yzerman for a long time. When we come back on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
September 11th at Soaring Eagle, a hot night of soul. Grab somebody sexy, tell them hey. 3-time Grammy winner Nino and the princess of hip hop, Keisha Cole. Tickets start at $53 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. Music that takes you there. Neo and Keisha.
You have old retirement accounts still at former employers that could use some attention. You have accounts that the only time you hear from the advisor is when you call them. It might be time to take stock of your retirement and stop settling for less than you deserve. Having retirement accounts doesn't equal having a retirement plan. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Stop procrastinating and let's coordinate your retirement accounts and make sure you have a plan for success in retirement. At Mitch Lyons Wealth, we help people make sense of all the moving parts of retirement: taxes, income, risk, Social Security, healthcare, and legacy. It all works together, so let's make sure all parts of your plan are working together and not fighting themselves. Let's create a retirement of steel. Contact us today to schedule a brief chat to talk about your situation. If it makes sense, we can talk further. If you're good as is, we'll let you know that too. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com or text PLAN to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. Investment advisory services are offered by MLW Advisory Services, a state-registered investment advisor.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Our next is in BrO's. We'll pick it up with Art Regner, a friend of ours, coming up 35 after the hour. First, I want to get to some texts because this can be a hot topic. Shep, in my opinion, if the Red Wings bring back Larkin, Steve Yzerman will abandon the Red Wings in every way forever, the way Joe Dumars did with the Pistons. Except for the jersey hanging from the rafters. Yeah. Because you know what it does? It makes it look like the player won. And in a day and age where I hear so many fans complain that the players have too much power, this might be another example of that. That's a good text. Except the new GM, whoever it is, maybe will benefit the way Scott Harris has. This time we only hope the new GM makes his team right away. We'll soon find that out too. Let's pick it up with our friend Art Regner. Knows Steve Yzerman well. Covered him when Steve Yzerman was playing. Covered him in the front office. And he joins us here on X's and Bros. Good to talk to you, my friend. I appreciate the time here on an early Tullymore Thursday. What surprised you most about the announcement that Steve Yzerman is no longer the general manager?
To be honest with you, Matt, I think that it was announced that it happened. I think that no one really saw this coming. You know, obviously yesterday I talked to so many different people, and so many people called me and asked me, you know, what was going on. And Steve always played it, you know, the old expression, close to the vest. And, you know, and he and I don't think anybody really let's put it this way, I guess is the best way to put it, is that no one I talked to yesterday, and it seemed like it was dozens of people, I don't know how many, no one said, hey, I saw this coming. No one did. I mean, it was completely kind of out of the blue.
Yeah, the timing seems odd. Do you think it was his decision, Chris Ilitch's? Do you think it was a combination?
I think, you know, I would have to think that it would have to be, Chris Ilitch, you know, made the decision. But I agree with you. You know, I guess the big question was, if there was an issue, if there was a problem, that why wasn't this done in April after the Red Wings didn't make the playoffs again? And, let someone that you were unhappy with, and we don't even know. No one has really talked. I mean, there was no press conference or anything. And when usually a move like this is made, usually there's a press conference.
What do
and
you
there
think
wasn't. It was just statements.
Agreed. What do you think the primary reasons were?
I just think that maybe I would assume that after just looking at it, even though, you know, Steve went through the draft and free agency, which is odd if you were unhappy with somebody. And again, this is pure speculation, but I just think that, you know, over time, thinking it through, eventually, and it's a difficult decision. I mean, we're not just talking about any NHL executive. Obviously Steve's history in this town, years ago when Detroit sports wasn't doing anything, he and Barry Sanders were on buildings, you know, in these big murals, so I think that this was probably a very difficult decision to make, and that it took longer than to come to the decision that maybe it was for the best for the organization.
Yeah, but do you think it's the combative relationship he had reportedly with Dylan Larkin? Do you think it's his drafting? Do you think it's his free agent signing?
Well,
do you think it's the rumors that he is challenged, who's difficult to deal with? Give me the reason why you think it happened.
Steve has never been a really warm, fuzzy guy. I mean, he's a pretty serious individual.
Yeah.
And, extremely competitive, as we know. I don't know. The only thing that's different from April, let's say, with the team is Dylan asking for a trade. So, it doesn't take a genius to put that together. So maybe that was the one of the things that, was weighed in heavily when the decision was made. But, again, until anybody says anything, really goes public with it, instead of, again, just putting out a statement, I think that, and what happens there is, and, I'm certainly not telling Chris Ilitch what to do, but, now you'll have this kind of wild speculation. Everybody and their brother will come up with some sort of theory, and they think why this happened.
Yeah, Arthur Regner joining us here on X's and Bros. You can follow on Twitter at Arthur Regner. You know Steve Eisenman exceptionally well. You know how proud he is. You know how competitive he is. He's always been that way. The belief that he was difficult to deal with in trades. Do you bristle at that? How do you take that? Do you how much believability?
I think that it really comes down to the fact is and Steve has said this many times, is that he's going to do the best thing for the Detroit Red Wings, and I think that he was he's a tough person. He is tough. You don't go through everything that he had went through during his career, where before the Red Wings started to win, he was like the worst captain of all time, or not a great leader.
Yeah,
and then he became a great leader and a great captain. Numerous injuries that we can go on about. About his knee, where he's playing on one leg, especially in the 2002 playoffs. So this is a guy who just doesn't mess around, and I think that. There is a part of him and a part of his personality where he is just a tough person, and he does not. I guess he doesn't want to be fleeced or something. You know what I mean, Matt? I mean, I just don't think he wants to be taken advantage of, or if he thinks he's being taken advantage of. Again, that's kind of speculation on my part, and I think because of that. He's a tough negotiator. He's just tough and wants to make sure that he is doing the best thing for the organization.
Do you think it was time that he moved on after 7 years and an inability to get this team over the proverbial hump? The disappointing marches
that's
for 3
a
years in a
really
row?
difficult question. The Red Wings have had some really, they didn't have much luck in drafting. I thought that, before Steve and nothing against Ken Holland and Tyler Wright when they were here, but, drafting Mo Sider, which was his pick, and Lucas Raymond and, Marco Kasper. I think that, in the draft, the first pick, in the beginning was purely Steve, and I think he had a semblance of a team here. If you can criticize him, obviously maybe some of his RFAs or UFAs, unrestricted free agents, might not have, worked out quite as well as he hoped. I'm not sure. How many different goalies did he bring into Detroit?
Right.
I mean, he really tried to solidify that position too. So I think he was always working on it, and and I think it was frustrating for him that he just didn't seem to get the to get the right mix. And I thought at this point, once Todd came in, that he had the right coach, and that I think he was looking for the team to be to be better, but. It's a difficult question for me to answer because I think that, obviously he had the best intentions for the team, and I don't know. I would have thought, or since a change wasn't made in April, I guess the natural assumption would be is that he at least had one more year to go.
Right.
That he,
right.
When you go through the draft, when you go through free agency like we just went through, you assume it. As you said, the timing was a little odd, but I really do think when it came down to it, and you make a move of this magnitude, and the people involved, that you have to say that it was the organization. Now, certainly Steve could come out, or Steve and Chris Ilitch could have some sort of presser, or come out and issue a statement, and Steve could say, hey, I thought it was time. It just wasn't working. But I don't think that would be the case. I don't think that's in his nature. I think that he, obviously wanted to see this through and turn the team around.
In the words of the Alan Parsons Project, where do we go from here?
Well, that's a really interesting question. People kept asking me to speculate who do you think would be sort of the candidates for the Red Wings. And, I would assume at this point that maybe they go outside the organization. I really don't know. I think if you bring up some of Steve's former teammates, I think it would be very difficult for them. And again, this is I hate to do this to you, Matt, because it's not, say it's pure speculation on my part, but I don't think like Nick Lidstrom or would want to take, or Chris Draper or somebody like that would want to take over for Steve. They played with him. They went through, the NHL battlefield with him. They won cups with him. I just don't think that, I don't think they would be very, very comfortable more out of a loyalty to Steve. Now, again, pure speculation. I just don't see that happening. Sean Horkoff obviously has been very, very good. He's done a wonderful job in Grand Rapids. Would he be interested in taking it? I don't know. People are speculating that perhaps Ryan Martin, who, years ago was the capologist for the Red Wings and, moved up and did a lot with USA Hockey as well. And now he's assistant GM of the Rangers. Would he be a viable candidate? Would he be interested in coming back to Detroit? Is it someone we don't even know? I do know that analytics are a big thing now, as we know, and so and hockey is still relatively new compared to baseball about analytics. I know that Steve had said many times that in hockey they were still trying to figure out which analytic translates into a good hockey player. They were at that stage. I don't know how much it's advanced since then, but I'm just saying that might be a factor too. Somebody who can is analytically sound and helping maybe to build the team that way.
Yeah, I would say, a guy like Jamie Pusher, a former Red Wing, as an assistant GM. When you look at Jeff Tambellini.
Right. I know when Steve took the job, and because Jamie was down in Tampa, and I know Jamie very very well. As a matter of fact, I'm not a big memorabilia guy, and years ago, and I mean a long time ago, Jamie Pusher gave me his hockey stick, which is gigantic because he's a tall dude, and I still have it. That's about the only thing.
Yes, but he's the assistant GM right now in Tampa, along with Jeff Tambellini.
Yes.
You had mentioned Ryan Martin, maybe a guy like Scott White, who's an assistant GM under Jim Nill in Dallas. There are names that can be floated out there. Nobody's brought up Brendan Shanahan. I'm surprised that hasn't happened, but I hear where you're going. Let me ask you about Dylan Larkin. You've been in that room as much as anybody I know. Could he actually come back? Because I don't think it's possible. I don't think players, when a guy says, I want out, I'm giving up, I'm jumping ship, I think it's hard for players to re-embrace him. What's your thought on that?
Well, I don't know. I go back and forth on this one because, obviously, because of Dylan's history and, being from here and playing for Michigan and, his whole hockey life, he's played in the state of Michigan, and I think that when he made this decision, when it became public, I am under the assumption as captain and as close as he is to, several of his teammates, he probably notified these guys that he was thinking this, whether, it was a fractured relationship with Steve. He had been here way too long. He just needed a change of scenery for whatever his reasons are. I think that they knew. And I think, and again, we just don't know this, but if he had an issue with Steve, let's say, and now that Steve isn't running the club, although he's still part of the organization, I would think that, if he much like Zach Wierenski, his very, very good friend, another, Michigan native, who, if he were to come out like he kind of did in Columbus and say, listen, after speculation or not. But, again, I agree with you, though, to that point. It just doesn't seem like that's a possibility. I think that, whomever the new general manager is, that's obviously one of the first issues he's going to have to tackle. Maybe he talks to Dylan and they come to some sort of agreement. He lays out what his plan or his vision is for the Red Wings, and, maybe Dylan likes it and says, well, on second thought, I think that, maybe I like the direction of the club. Again, I'm kind of thinking, as far as this has gone, and I think that probably the best thing would be for the Red Wings to make the best deal they can for Dylan Larkin, and allow him to pursue interests elsewhere, because that certainly does seem like where his mind is at right now.
Yeah, although in fairness to Steve Yzerman, and I thought it was time to move on. In fairness to Steve Yzerman, that's what he was trying to do. He just wasn't trying to do it only for Dylan Larkin. He's trying to do it for the Detroit Red Wings, which is his job, by the way. Just because Dylan Larkin wants out doesn't mean you trade him for whatever you can get. You're supposed to trade him for what you should be able to get. Otherwise, you're looking at a J.D. Martinez and Justin Verlander situation from Detroit all over again, and Yzerman was trying to avoid that. Arthur, we appreciate the insight as always, my friend. Say hello to Michelle and hope all is well, buddy.
Okay, yeah, and I completely agree with what you just said. Obviously, if you take assets for Dylan, and picks, you might as well put out we're rebuilding again.
Exactly.
He wanted players.
Exactly.
He definitely wanted players, and that makes sense. That absolutely.
You should want players. You're giving up your best forward. You're already light in the center position. Now you're getting rid of your best center. And you think a guy like Jason Robertson's going to come here and play with Emmett Finney, for crying out loud? That's not enticing at all. You've got to get value, and value at the NHL level. And if you don't, you're doing a disservice to your owner, your organization, the players within the organization, and your fan base. Arthur, we got to go. Thanks, my friend. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
My pleasure. We'll talk to you soon, Matt.
Okay, buddy. That's Art Regner joining us here on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church.
All you gotta do is put a drink in my hand.
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride, August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meyer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies for $1 or less, including Meyer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2-pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites like select varieties of Meyer toaster pastries, pancake mix, syrup, and instant oatmeal, all just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meyer. Exclusions apply. See the Meyer app for details.
Huge here for the Purple community of Van Andel Institute. They're honored to be a part of the Make Ways for a Great Cause at the Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. Grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise awareness and critical funds for community health programs at Hackley Community Care and Breast Cancer Research at Van Andel Institute. Paddleboarders of all experience levels are welcome. The vibrant event will also include yoga, music, family-friendly entertainment, and screenings for breast cancer. Learn more about Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore and register at suftc.org.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's funny, and our thanks to Art Rager for joining us. It's funny how people view different scenarios in sports as whether or not they're good, they're bad, they're distracting, it's a positive, so on and so forth. I read an article the other day that the Tarek Skubal situation has officially become a distraction. And I thought, what are you talking about? It's been a distraction for a while. It's been a distraction for 2 years, right? And there's a belief that Scott Boras is meddling in whether or not Skubal should be traded. And I started laughing. Do we not know who these people are? Like, do you know who Tarek Skubal is? Or, who Scott Boras is? Of course you do. From afar, you do. Okay. Carlos Monterez, a friend of the program, Detroit Free Press, wrote one big reason Tigers should trade Tarek Skubal at the trade deadline is because they're not winning the World Series. First of all, he doesn't know that. I'm not saying they're going to, or nor should they be a favorite or anything, but we think we know, but we don't know. They're not going to beat the Dodgers. There's super teams out there, quote unquote, super teams out there that we thought would win. Do you remember when UNLV went undefeated in college basketball? Any idea? UNLV was a powerhouse, okay? And nobody thought they had beaten Duke the year before, and the following season they were expected to be back-to-back champions. They were 34-0. They were number one in the country. Jerry Tarkanian was their coach. Tim Gergerich is their assistant coach. They had some of the best players in the country. Larry Johnson, Detroit's own Anderson Hunt. They had Stacey Augmon, who was a great defensive player and offensively in college. Greg Anthony, who was their big guy. Elmore Spencer. All right. And then they lost to Duke. They had beaten Duke the year before, and everybody thought that, I think it was 90-91 is when they were 34-0. Oops, we were wrong. I'm not comparing the Tigers to that team, so please don't take it out of context. I'm just telling you, when people try to tell me that this is going to happen, I always say to myself, what if it doesn't? What if they don't win it? When the Dodgers won 100 games in 2023, they lost in the National League Divisional Series to Arizona. Did you think that was going to happen? Just wondering.
I wouldn't say I thought it was going to happen. No.
Okay.
I can't say I predicted that.
Okay. In 2022, when the Dodgers won 111 games, that's what they did. They lost to the San Diego Padres in the NLDS 3-1. Did you expect that?
Nope.
How about when they won 106 games the year before that and lost in the NLCS? In 6
Most years you wouldn't expect the
Braves.
Dodgers to lose, but sometimes they do.
Right.
That's
See, and the Dodgers they're the best franchise in baseball. Full stop. But here's what happens. They've won back-to-back titles. They've won 3 in the last 6 years. Okay. Here's what people forget. The years in between when they didn't win a World Series, like they won a World Series in the shortened season of 60, the COVID shortened season, 60 games. I almost don't even include that, but it was a baseball season and they won it. It's funny how you play 60 games, 60 of 162, and you're going to still crown a champion and it's going to be legitimate, I guess. The 3 years in between that championship and their next championship, they won more games than the World Series teams. The last 2 World Series teams for the Dodgers won 93 and 98 games. Before that, the 3 years, they won 111, 100 games, 111, and 106. And they didn't win. They didn't get to the World Series. But we think we know. I don't know. I'm okay admitting that. I don't know that the Dodgers are going to win the World. Are they the favorites? Yes. Would I put more money on them than anybody else? Yes. Doesn't mean I'm right. Does not mean I'm right. Because I sure didn't expect Indiana to win the national championship in football last year.
But it would make sense why you bet on the Dodgers. I mean,
it makes a ton of sense.
How is that not your pick? Hey?
But don't tell me that
it's the playoffs.
You've got to trade Tarek Skubal because the Tigers aren't winning the World Series. I don't think they are either. But that's not the reason you trade him. If you're a general manager, are you sitting back and you're going, or director of president of baseball, president of baseball operations, are you sitting back going, you know what? We're not winning the World Series, so let's get rid of him. I mean, every front office person has to look at their team realistically, and I understand that. You know what else? What it requires? It requires you to gauge the rest of the league. And I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it until the trade deadline. Give me the surefire team who's going to represent the American League this year.
Exactly.
You don't know. Now, would I trade Tarek Skubal? You're damn right I would.
I was going to say, I still think I'd trade Tarek Skubal. But
I would too, but not because they're not going to win the World Series.
Right.
I trade him because I can't risk losing him in the offseason.
No, it feels like one of those
For
potentially even
nothing.
rare where you trade a guy like that, but you might even, buy in away at other spots if they're in it enough in the next couple of weeks. But
yeah, that would seem logical on one sense, and on the other hand, kind of illogical because you're getting rid of your most coveted commodity. You're bringing, it depends on what you're bringing back, but then you're going to trade away something else within the system to get something.
But he's not a guaranteed win, and you got 5 other guys in the rotation that can make pretty, not as good a starts as him maybe all the time or as consistently, but I feel like you
don't have 5 other guys. You don't have 5 other guys. You have 5 other guys.
As starting pitchers?
Yeah.
Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, Cater Montero, Troy Melton, and maybe you would hope Jackson Joba or Framber Valdez. That's what I'm forgetting. Sorry.
Okay. But you're not convinced that Jack Flaherty's going to do that for you.
I mean, no, I'm not. But
okay.
I guess that's the question you have to ask yourself. Like, do you if you're giving up Skubal, do you think you can get enough back to like any MLB talent back to help you in this lineup with that pitching staff?
Right.
To win. Like you have to ask yourself that.
Yeah. I would agree with you on that. Like, do you feel comfortable with those other 5 guys where you could challenge the division?
I think you could
challenge the league if you improved other weaknesses on your team. Right?
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
And I would agree with that. I would. Now, I don't see another team giving you what you need from their major league roster.
It's another,
it's part of the reason that they're challenging in the first place and they want your valued commodity is because of one of the players who's helped them get there.
Exactly.
So that's what's going to end up happening. And that's, I said this months ago. Tarek Skubal's in all likelihood going to bring back major prospects more so than Dylan Larkin. I thought Dylan Larkin would bring you current NHL players. Tarek Skubal, it's going to be hard to bring back current MLB impactful players because those impactful players are helping whatever team you're trading with get to their division.
Yeah, you're not talking about just getting Chris Paddock and Charlie Morton type stuff back. Like this would have to be a big move.
Those are fill-in pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need fill-in pieces. Look at where your bullpen is. All right. Second most blown saves. Look at your right-handed hitting. Last year, your right-handers against lefties, the OPS ranked 2nd in Major League Baseball. This year, they're 19th. When we come back, Andy McDonald fixes some situations that have been on our minds. We do it every Thursday at 8:18 here on X's and BrO's, and we're brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. The second half push for the Tigers begins tomorrow in Anaheim against the Angels. What will the magic number of wins be? No team since 1984 has made the playoffs in a full season with less than 84 wins. 2 teams in the American League might be able to qualify, including the Tigers. They would need 40 wins in their last 66 games after earning 44 victories in their first 96 of the year. While the trade talk is all about Tarek Skubal, what if the Tigers add? They need a right-handed stick and bullpen help. As an example, the Tigers' OPS against lefties last year ranked second best in the majors. This year, that same category, they ranked 19th in MLB. The bullpen has blown the second most saves in the league and ranks in the bottom half in strikeouts. The decision will be Scott Harris's. It needs to be right for this year and for seasons to follow.
Get a jump on back-to-school shopping with hot deals on Meyer brand must-haves. Stock up on school supplies for $1 or less, including Meyer 70-sheet notebooks, glue sticks, 2-pocket folders, and 10-count washable markers. Plus, save on breakfast favorites like select varieties of Meyer toaster pastries, pancake mix, syrup, and instant oatmeal, all just $1.79 each. Good life quality and real low prices. Only at Meyer. Exclusions apply. See the Meyer app for details.
We go together.
The Jonas Brothers.
I'm a sucker for you.
The Greetings from Your Hometown Encore. The Soaring Eagle Outdoor Concert Series. Special guests, Boys Like Girls. Tickets for the Jonas Brothers start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Hang out with the Jonas Brothers and Boys Like Girls August 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
18 after the hour. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Tell a friend you can call us, 866-838-4843. That's the Meyer hotline. You can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us in the chat as we broadcast live, stream live on YouTube, X, and on Facebook as well. Our thanks to Art Regner for joining us earlier to talk about the Dylan Larkin / Steve Yzerman news. Steve Yzerman stepping down as general manager, wink, wink, transitions to a role of senior advisor. Wings failed to make the playoffs in each of his 7 years. NHL is expanding its schedule to 84 games this year. The Wings will have their home opener September 2nd against the Rangers. Tigers take on the Angels tomorrow to kickstart the quote-unquote second half. It's not really a half. You got 66 games left. So it's.
I've always thought that was weird.
I think
the way that it's phrased, for the All-Star break. But
we told you not long ago, if the Tigers don't act, that other teams are going to move on. As much as they may want Tarek Skubal, they will move on. Not that the Brewers have, but they have addressed some of their pitching, they hope, in Lance McCullers and Colton Gordon. They trade with Houston for Jaden Fielder, the son of Prince Fielder, to up their bullpen a little bit. So the Brewers get a little bit stronger in the pitching department. World Cup Finals, Argentina winner 2-1 over England yesterday. They score in the 85th minute and third minute of extra time. They're going to play Spain for the World Cup Final in New Jersey. And round 1 of the Open Championship taking place at Royal Birkdale right now. It's a 156-man field that will be narrowed down after 2 days. Right now, there are 4 players at 4 under par. Daniel Brown shot a 66. Sungjae Im shot a 66. Alex Smalley and Ryan Gerard are both at 4 under, but still on the course. Scotty Scheffler so far is 3 under through 12. A lot of people saying there's no way Bryson DeChambeau reaches it. He's 3 under through 12 as well. That's part of the 3. It's Scheffler, DeChambeau, and Tahat. The Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question, who's next for the Red Wings? I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to separate the 2 positions. Somebody will be a president, the other will be a GM. That's the way it should be. Okay? So I think they'll take the Nashville model, if you will. They'll do that. Who that is, we don't know. We give you options. Somebody outside the organization, Chris Draper, Sean Horkoff, or Nick Lidstrom. Vote as often as you want at XP Mornings. Let's get to Handy Andy on this Thursday at 8:18.
Andy did a great job. Called the criminals, the city is clear. The citizens can now sleep peacefully.
The city definitely isn't clear right now outside. It's very cloudy, but I'm not sure I can do anything to prevent that.
Well, that would be something if you were in Michigan government. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I could. You're not wrong. Put up a force field.
We've talked about the best All-Star games. That was yesterday's Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question, the best All-Star games. How do you fix the Pro Bowl, Andy?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think, obviously the NFL is just this league that everybody loves to watch, right? But that is always I feel like that's the one thing on the schedule where every year you don't pay attention to it. I think one way to fix it, I understand the whole thing. Nobody wants to see their player get injured, right? I think a good example is watching the MLB All-Star game the other night when Junior Caminero got hit in the hand. All I could think to myself was, could you imagine if that was one of the Tigers players right now with some of the injuries they've had, whatever. So you have to do it in a way where you avoid injury, I guess, in such a contact sport, but still get people to watch it, which I feel like is so difficult. I think the one way you can maybe do that is if you brought in more like high stakes skill competitions. I feel like, I don't know, just different ones that they don't have in there right now instead of even playing a game. I think if you just made it where players were playing for some, amount of money, because that always seems to be the one thing that kind of drives players to want to try harder. If it was like, throwing competitions, one-on-one competitions with cornerbacks, I don't know, like fastest to the quarterback, maybe off a defensive end going against one of the better tackles in the league. I think if you did that kind of things for higher stakes of money, maybe you would get more out of these players and they would try harder. Again, you can't always eliminate the injury factor, but I think that would make people more interested in it, just to, prove some points that their guys might be better than other guys.
Because they already do have a format of competitions, right?
Yeah, they do.
Competitions. So.
They're how serious are they though? It doesn't feel like they're always like. I feel like when you're watching it, it would just be something to be on the background. I just think if you if it was something that the players looked forward to more, then maybe it would get the fans' attention more.
What if I said just get rid of it altogether?
No, that's not a bad idea. That could fix it. I
mean, would we be honest with yourself? Would you miss it?
No, there's no shot I would. That's why it's the toughest one to fix, because I don't know how you make it much better without. If you made it like a real game, people would just get so upset when people get hurt. So it would be a problem.
Yeah, if people get hurt. I don't know how many players have gotten hurt. All time in the Pro Bowl, how many players have gotten hurt?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't. Was there a time when it was played more seriously? Because I honestly don't remember it really in my life. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. I really don't. Injuries are going to occur in anything, a sport competition. What if one of the players gets hurt in a pickup basketball game in the offseason?
Yeah,
I don't know if people realize this. They used to have a competition with the All-Stars. They would bring in Marcus Allen, Cliff Branch would race against Ray Mancini, a boxer. They would have it was called the Superstar Competition, and ABC ran it every single year. And maybe it was, I don't know, I think Al Michaels announced it. Perhaps. I don't know the answer to how many people were injured. I think Robert Edwards was injured. You know what he was injured in? A 4-on-4 flag football game. So
yeah, you truly can't predict it sometimes.
So you just don't know. I don't think it behooves the league. I don't think it behooves the sport. I don't think it helps the players either. Fix a way how the world soccer phenomena can catch on in the U.S.
Well, I'm trying to figure out a way to do that because it seems like it's been a problem for a while. I mean, we've been told how many times that soccer is growing in the U.S. and that players are there's way more players now. I don't think it matters how many kids start to play it or anything with that. I think it matters more about right now. How do you get more people interested in on a daily basis instead of just watching the World Cup once every 4 years? And I feel like the only way to do that would be some of the best players around the nation come to America and play.
Agreed.
That's the only way that you're really going to get people to watch it more on a basis. Because like the people that do know about soccer, like that, at least that are my friends, they're always talking about some of the players that play on some of these world teams. They don't play in the MLS. Here.
Exactly.
So how are you going to get more interest from the best players in the game when they're only playing in Premier League across the world on like Sunday mornings at 9 a.m.?
Exactly. The hard thing about that is you got to pay them, and the teams in the U.S. don't make enough money to pay them. All right. Lastly, I like sweets too much. Give me a substitute that tastes good but isn't sugary.
I gotta think about that one for a second because I like sweets way too much too. I would say if you're gonna get away from that, the one thing that I always try to do every single morning to get away from eating something bad for myself is like apples. I feel like apples, if you buy the right one, it can kind of taste like my mom. Maybe she tricked me when I was a kid, but she always said that Honey Crisp kind of tastes like candy, and I feel like that's been stuck in my head ever since. And I don't know if it's the best apple for you, but it's definitely better than some of the bad stuff you can eat. I also feel like using peanut butter with a lot of things is a good way to get away from eating bad stuff.
I agree.
It's a great source of protein. So
yep, all fruit is good. When you
I love fruit
roll up, or that's not sugar, but it's made from real fruit.
Yes.
I had a popsicle yesterday that was all fruit, but it tasted so
See,
good.
if you can find that combination, that's the right way to do it, man.
Yeah, well, that's your job as Handy Andy. You got to find that guy.
Fix it.
You got to find it and fix it. That's Handy Andy here on X's and Bros. When we come back, give me the guy you want as a backup. The rankings of the best quarterback combinations. Where do you think the Lions are at after this on X's and Bros, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort in Thompsonville, Michigan. If you've never experienced the mountain, it's unbelievable. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, Betsy Valley, Mountain Ridge, accommodations, a ton of choices. Go to crystalmountain.com, see everything for yourself. One of the top spas in America. They can handle businesses, small groups, big groups, your buddies, the ladies, and more. Book your getaway now at crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered to MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Make ways for a great cause at Stand Up for the Cure Lakeshore paddleboarding event at Ross Park in Norton Shores on Saturday, July 25th. You can grab your paddleboard and your sunscreen to raise critical funds for breast cancer research and awareness programs. Register for Stand Up for the Cure at SUFTC.org.
35 after the hour. Andy and I were just talking about a friend of his sent him a video right away when we were talking about the Pro Bowl of Sean Taylor hitting Brian Moorman. Brian Moorman was a punter for the Buffalo Bills and took off on a fake punt down the right sideline if his team's moving left or right. All right. And headed down the right sideline, and Sean Taylor lights him up. I don't know exactly the year. Anyway,
I don't know the year either, but it was my friend Joe. He sent me a text. He was listening, and he obviously heard what I said about the Pro Bowl, because I didn't really remember a time when it was like, super meaningful. And the fact that was in his memory bank right there of
He's
that
right.
punter just
Good
getting
for
lit
him.
up.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for that, Joe.
The passion in that the announcer and the crowd and everything, that's crazy.
Well, it was Mike
to think
Tirico.
about
Mike
now.
Tirico was the announcer. Everybody, Julius Peppers, even Brian Moorman came up and congratulated him. In 1970, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, Pete Rose ran over Ray Fosse. Ruined his career, actually. Maybe people thought they were taking it a little bit too far. I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure about that. It's competition, right? Are you getting paid for it? Yeah. Are there some incentives? Yeah. Do you want to win? Yeah. Do you want your player to play hard? Yeah. And then you're in that situation. When people say it doesn't mean anything, it does to those guys.
Yeah, 100%. You can't argue with that.
Doesn't it mean something to you? Let me ask you this. Do you brag that your team or your player made the All-Star team? Hey, there's a part of some Lions fans who are like, Matthew Stafford's the MVP. He was a Lion. How many times did people want Barry Sanders to break the single season rushing record? Were you pissed that Barry Sanders retired after 10 years when he could have broken Walter Payton's record?
I can't imagine. Yeah, I was going to say, who wouldn't be?
And yes. Okay. That's the answer to all of it. I'm not saying it's all the same, but I mean, because there are different levels to this. But don't tell me you don't think it's important. Tony Gwynn's one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. All right. I know there's a lot of you out there who think Kevin McGonigal is that. And Kevin McGonigal might be the second coming of Wade Boggs. Seriously, he might be. He's got that good of bat to ball contact and eye hand coordination, all that other stuff. But Tony Gwynn had 481 plate appearances against Hall of Fame pitchers. Okay. 481. He's a 15-time All-Star. He's a 5-time Gold Glove player. He's an 8-time batting title champion. He's a 7-time Silver Slugger, which makes no sense. How do you not win a Silver Slugger when you win a batting title? Whatever, I digress. He's a Hall of Famer, right? 481 appearances against Hall of Fame pitchers. He struck out only 22 times in those 481 plate appearances. 9 of those were against Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan never won a Cy Young. Tony Gwynn never won an MVP. I know. Isn't that weird? After his rookie year, his on-base percentage never fell below 355.
That's impressive.
Okay.
Beyond impressive.
Yeah. The most times he ever struck out in a single season, and he played 133 games that year, was 1988 when he struck out 40 times. That's it. Led the league in hitting with 313. That's how good he was. People in San Diego brag about that, and rightfully so. And they brag about that he was that many times an All-Star, that many times. That's what we do as fans. That's our pride. So when people try to tell me, well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I guess I get it with the Pro Bowl, but don't tell me that with the All-Star game. These guys could get hurt at any moment. If you're afraid of that, first of all, you can't play afraid. Second of all, if you're afraid of that, you should get rid of every All-Star competition.
Yeah, I mean, if that was the truth. But think about it. If you play a sport, I mean, we play golf or whatever, like it could technically mean nothing. But like You can't tell me you don't want to.
It does mean nothing.
Right, exactly.
It does.
But you can't tell me when you go. I mean, when I go out there with my friends and I play, I know that I don't want to be the one finishing last, and I want to be the one finishing first every single time. So, like,
you're a competitor.
Exactly.
Right.
And it technically means nothing, right? So that's like for them, there's no way they can say that it, isn't. They don't say that really, but they could say it doesn't mean the most. Doesn't matter. They're going to go out there. It's a competition. They're not going to not try. Doesn't matter what it's in. They're competitive.
Absolutely.
They compete at the highest level every day.
Yesterday with two of my sons and a friend of one of my sons. You don't think I wanted to win? I wanted to beat every single one of those guys.
Did you win?
I actually had the low score. I shot an 84. Yeah.
Gosh, the low scored an 84. Who are you playing with?
Well,
that's pretty good if you ask me, Shep.
No, it's not. It's not that good. And
I might be scared to golf with you.
No, it's not very good. So it was 84, 84, 85, 86 is what it was. We all had blow up holes. The point is, it's about competition, right? We all want to compete. And I hope, I mean, unless you're like, even euchre, I want to win at euchre.
Oh,
my wife doesn't give a crap. My wife does not care. She's there to talk. She's there to have the hors d'oeuvres. She's there to talk with her friends, and she'll have a glass of wine. Me, I'm drinking beers. I'm eating, but I want to win. Okay. And that's what you want from your athletes.
My family didn't really grow up playing euchre, and I learned how to play from my friends, like actually in college, like the middle of college. Sure. I got mocked, and they were going all around me with, like, I don't know, table talk and stuff, just cheating to be funny because I didn't know how to play. I played it on my phone so many times till I learned it and got better at it because I did not want to be that guy anymore.
Absolutely. But the bottom line is you want to win. Not that you're going to go home and beat yourself up, but it's when you're in the throes of it, you want to win. All right, let's get to a couple of texts, and then we get to the final results of our poll question. And then CBS Sports came out with the rankings of the best quarterback situations and the worst. Go ahead.
If I got a text here, if Larkin did not like the path, don't sign a long-term contract. Eisman was not going to change. What I hear through the programs like yours, it's on Larkin. I don't know if we necessarily say that Eisman wasn't going to change, but
well, we said everybody has to adapt.
Right.
We all have to change. You may not like analytics. Certain people may not like analytics, but you better embrace it. If you don't embrace it, you're going to be left behind, or you're going to lose your job.
What he's kind of talking about though with Larkin, it's like, yeah, he signed the long-term contract and he probably liked the vision then. But I mean, Larkin even said it in a press conference as much. He was like, well, I knew we weren't going to just win the Stanley Cup overnight, is what he was quoted saying. But he basically said he didn't think it was going to take this long to be more competitive, I think. And does that make him right or anything to be leaving now? I wouldn't say that. But that's what I mean. If you sign an 8-year contract, if things aren't going right, going into year 4.
Remember when he signed the extension though? He signed the extension in March of 2023. All right, an 8-year extension.
Yep.
Since that time, what has happened?
Almost made the playoffs every year, but haven't made it.
They got rid of certain people that he disagreed with, whether it be Tyler Bertuzzi or haven't been able to attract the type of players.
That's a very good point too.
How much of that is on Dylan Larkin? I bet you some of it is. Again, I have it on really good authority. He sat Quinn Hughes down with others. We want you to come here. He can't make Steve Yzerman make that deal.
Exactly.
Right? I'm not saying it's not on Dylan Larkin. I think a lot of it is. His numbers in March last year, 5-on-5, terrible from March on. I don't think he's shedding any responsibility here. I think he's just pissed off that, look, I would ask this of the texter. Are you happy with the direction of the team? If you're an athlete and you want some type of security, don't we all? Wouldn't you want your company to sign you to an 8-year deal if you like the company? But then if the company's not doing what you expected, wouldn't you be frustrated? Are you able to express that frustration? We don't know those conversations behind closed doors with Steve Yzerman. But if you feel like you're just banging your head against a brick wall and you're not getting anywhere, what else are you supposed to do? If you go above him, then you're obviously being, a guy who's a little bit of a whiner. If you demand to be traded, then you're jumping ship. If you stay there and don't do anything about it, some people may view you as a guy who doesn't want to win as badly as you should. So it's a really tough spot.
It is.
He signed it to say, well, you shouldn't have signed the extension. He didn't. He signed the extension in 2023. I'm sure there were times where he thought, you know what, we're going to get rolling here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Is that it was long enough ago that he probably believed the vision when he signed it. Why else would he sign it?
Yes. I suppose there are some people who could say, you know what, you wouldn't, maybe you should have signed it to a shorter term deal.
Sure, I guess.
I don't know. It's a hell of a deal for the organization too, by the way. Let's keep that in mind.
Right.
Okay, next text. Go ahead.
All right. So, yeah, we got another one here kind of along the same. Well, this is talking about the general manager. He says we should get Nicky Lidstrom for sure. Doesn't give a reason for it. Just says that. And he says also, I guess he just listened to the whole show. Also, we got to get Scooby-Doo out. It's time to get Cash. He ain't staying next year. So maybe he can help us win one this year. I'm guessing he means with Cash. But I don't think you're just going to trade him for Cash.
No, you're not trading him for Cash. I think they mean they're gonna save the money.
That makes sense.
Okay, so if you're not, I don't know what the contract's going to be. I've gone over this time and time again. I'm sure the Tigers have thought of this. I would propose a short-term deal where he's the highest paid player in baseball, or one of the highest paid pitcher, I should say, in baseball. So if you give him, we'll do 4 for $250, 4 for $200, 4 for $200. I'm sorry, not $250. I meant 5 for $250, 4 for $200. You make him the highest pitcher in baseball. Would he do that? No, Scott Boras isn't going to do that. And I can't say if I were the agent, I'd do that either. But it is interesting, the two scenarios. Larkin allegedly didn't like the way his contract negotiations were going back in 2023 before he signed it. He didn't like that Yzerman didn't add to his team when they felt like they needed. And we all noticed that. We all know what they needed. Go pull the trigger on a move. He wasn't noticing any of the young players rising through the system and helping the parent team. And I firmly believe the Quinn Hughes situation had him pissed off too. Skubal notices that the Tigers perhaps are trying to get a little bit better. They bring in Framber Valdez. They signed Gleyber Torres, blah, 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 right? The amount of money he's going to require, I don't think is possible from a Detroit Tigers standpoint. But instead of demanding a trade, he's telling his general manager, before it happens, we should add. He's playing GM. Dylan Larkin played GM after the fact. That's what pissed a lot of people off. He said, we should have added. The smartasses in all of us said, well, you should have been more of a fixture and making this team better. We don't do that with Tarek Skubal, do we? Tarek Skubal's saying we should add.
Right.
Anybody out there saying you should do more? No. You know why? He's won 2 Cy Youngs. He's considered the best at what he does. Dylan Larkin's not considered the best at what he does. Dylan Larkin has won a gold medal, but individually he hasn't won anything. And his team that he captains hasn't won anything either.
Yeah, and the Nick Lidstrom comment, I love to know why you think that. I mean, listen, Nick Lidstrom
because he was a great player.
Yeah, exactly. He was for me growing up. That was like one of my first ones I remember. He's
I think
one of my
great
favorites.
Red Wing captain. Yeah,
yeah. But is that really the right move right now for the organization? I would love to know why you think that.
I don't know why you. I don't know. It's interesting when we had Art Regner on that he said not many of those guys would want to take Steve Yzerman's place. Somebody's got to take the job. And you would think if you're Steve Yzerman, I want somebody who knows what they're doing, and B, if they have the Red Wings in their heart, like those guys all do, then you would think you would want to. I don't know why you would promote from within. I don't think it makes a lot of sense personally. I just wonder if you're going to be able to get somebody outside the organization at this stage. All right, let's get to this article from CBS Sports. The best quarterback combo. Do you think the Lions have a good quarterback combo in Jared Goff and Teddy Bridgewater? I don't. I like Jared Goff, obviously. I wish they had a better backup quarterback.
That's fair.
I'm gonna give you the worst quarterback situations. Tell me the backup quarterback you want. All right, CBS Sports, worst quarterback situations. Number 5, Atlanta, Michael Penix, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Siemian. I'm just gonna give you the first 2. All right, who's the backup there? It's Penix, right? They brought in Tua Tagovailoa for a reason, I would think, even though he threw a career high 15 picks last year. So let's say Penix. Miami, Malik Willis and Quinn Ewers. Ewers is the backup. That's number 4. Number 3, Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew. Minshew the backup, or is it Carson Beck that they drafted?
That's a good question.
Okay. Number 2, the New York Jets, Geno Smith, Cade Klubnik. And number 1, the worst situation, Cleveland, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Taylor Green, who they drafted. I don't think that's as bad a situation as the Jets, quite honestly. I mean, the Jets have Cade Klubnik, who wasn't very, very good at Clemson last year. Bailey Zappi, Brady Cook out of Missouri. Of those backups, give me the guy you want.
That's tough. I don't really know. I guess I've always thought Gardner Minshew has had moments as a good backup. Maybe he wouldn't be bad. I could see him being potentially a good one for Jared Goff, but yeah, it's hard to pick from that group of who would be great. You're picking backup quarterbacks, but Gardner Minshew has had long enough runs as a starter that I wouldn't mind him.
Yeah, he started for 4 different teams. He's 17-30 over 7 years, so I would agree with that. But it wouldn't make me feel much more comfortable than Teddy Bridgewater. The best backup or the best quarterback duos. Number 5, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley. Love Tyler Huntley. The Rams, Stafford and Ty Simpson. Little strange to me. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes and Justin Fields. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco. And San Francisco has the best, Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, who is the best backup in the National Football League. Everybody would want the Mac Jones situation, right? For sure. All right, let's get to the final results of our poll question from yesterday. Here's what we asked you. The Mitch Lanswell poll question, which all-star game is the best? What did people answer?
MLB at 81%. So that stole the cake. NHL is 13%. I think that would finish second for me too. So I totally understand it. NBA 2%. And other was 4%. Again, I asked for a comment if you gave other, but nobody gave comments that voted on that. So I would love to know what you think if it's other.
Yeah, same here. I don't know how you
still can do that.
Other.
Send us a text, whatever. I will read it at some point.
Yeah, we appreciate it. All right, let's get to the Daily Wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook facility.
Yeah, let's get that over with.
You've lost all week long.
Yeah, it has not been a good week for me. That's probably why I shouldn't have done soccer again. But come on, Mbappe's been shooting the ball all tournament, and then he shoots one shot yesterday. So that did not go well
blames
for
his
me.
Coach.
Yeah, exactly. So that wasn't great. Yeah, I am going with golf, which is still one that I've only done 2 golf bets on this before, and neither one of them hit. So I don't know if you want this anyway, but I'm going to go with Bryson DeChambeau to finish in the top 10. He's had a good start. They're giving you plus money at plus 125. I think he's heard a lot of people talking about him lately in a lot of the comments. So I think I'm going to go with that in the motivation. He finished in the top 10.
He's 3 under through 13 so far. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning as we broadcast live from Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Have a great rest of your Tullymore Thursday, everybody. Thanks for the time.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.